Now meet the Banshee, the newest device into the cyber community, presented by the Wired Hatters, and specifically Billy Green over at the Wired Hatters. Now, this device is a fresh breath of air, and I say that because it brings some new stuff to the table, and I love how it does it. And it's based off the firmware GhostESP, and at first I was like, Ghost, what? That's not it. But man, have they brought Ghost to something where it's something you would use, and something amazing at that. And I'm actually pretty surprised on how this device works and how good the firmware actually is. So let me tell you about what it is and what it can do. So taking a look at the device itself and the hardware before we get into what it does, we have one LED down here, and I think about 40 on each strip, left and right. These are programmable, and you can put them to whatever color you want, and I think they're just so cool. If you add LEDs to a device, you are instantly making it 100 times better. I mean, like my DN key has there's so many devices with LEDs now, but the RGB ones are so nice. Before I get too sidetracked, we also have a 5-way toggle right here to move around, and then we also have a dial, a full dial here at the bottom, and this is one of the ways of moving around if you don't like the joystick too much. And joystick is pretty nice, but I gotta say, I don't know what I like more. It is a lot easier to use the joystick, but the dial is just so nice. We have a headphone jack right here, and a USB-C port right here underneath the dial. Taking a look at the other side of the device, we have a switch. Now, with a device like this, you're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, on and off switch. Actually, this is how you power the device on and off. Tap it once to turn it on, double tap it twice to turn it off. This is for the UV light. Now, if we hold down this button right here, we're going to either get the UV light or the flashlight, which is so cool. I haven't seen a device with either of those, so I can admit it is pretty neat. And over here we also have a USB port, which I think somebody has plugged a keyboard into here because this has a terminal on it, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And we have GPIO. Now this is not just random GPIO like most of these devices, but it's actually the GPIO used on the first of the Flipper Zero. So that means you could attach like any boards that would be used with the Flipper Zero that use only the front pins, like a flux capacitor of sorts. But we also have a tiny screen up here in the corner, which is programmable. You can show stats or whatever you really want to. We have a area for the sound to come out, and then this is the best side. Okay, and I say that because we have an M5 stack programmable area here. Now that means like we have M5 stack keyboards and all this stuff, and this allows you to enter so much stuff into this device because M5 Stack is a huge company. They make the M5 stick, card pewter. I could go on. And this just allows you to interact with those devices. We have these 4 GPIO pins here, which you could use a PN32 with, but that's going to allow you to access RFID. But there is other RFID on this device, not included, but other ways you could use it, which we'll talk about here soon enough. We have the SD card slot right here, and a Ethernet jack right here. Now, what this means is you could literally perform live Ethernet attacks on things like routers, on hypothetically anything you want. But I haven't seen a device yet that has this built in. Normally you have to use GPIO boards and all this stuff, and I love that about this device. Like, I think that's what convinced me to buy the Banshee, the Ethernet, because I haven't seen many devices with it, and it makes it so much fun. Over here we have the IR receivers and the IR transmitters, and I do think these are pretty good ones at that. On the back, though, we have, obviously, the flashlight, which we just talked about, and we have the ESP32 C5 and the S3. Now, what this means, okay, now, an ESP32 S3 is going to give you the 2.4 gigahertz bands, and that's what I think this antenna is connected to. Don't listen to the case, because it was printed wrong. It says GPS. This is the GPS over here. But an ESP32 C5 is going to get that those 5 gigahertz networks, and the only device so far to do that is, like, the Poltergeist board. We have the Wi-Fi compatible pager, and the Banshee already having that with who knows how much time they had to make this thing is amazing, and it makes this way more powerful. Now we have the AWOC C5, dual C5, but what this does is these two are able to communicate to each other instead of separating those two, and that just makes it even more powerful. But enough with the device. I will say real quick, it does not come with a battery, so you'll have to get your own. And they have a great link if you want to get yours. It has to be a specific one, and I just got mine from Meshnology, a amazing company. But let's talk about the device and the features on it and why I love it so much. Now, with almost any device, if you turn it on without an antenna, you're going to screw it up. That's because when it starts transmitting, if there's not an antenna on there, you'll possibly fry your device. So, by unscrewing this GPS antenna, what would happen? Well, because I just did it, nothing. And that's because there is a internal ceramic GPS. And that's pretty cool because it doesn't come with the GPS antenna like this, which are like $50. So what Wired Hatters went ahead and did instead was they were able to get a ceramic GPS antenna in here, and then if you want to, you could use the external one, which is so cool. And I love that they did that. I wish all devices did that because that's a pretty great way of integrating it. And both are incredible GPSs. I mean, the one in here is pretty good, and obviously the bigger you get, the better it is. So you have big antenna on here, and you're going to get some really good stats. And I love how the Banshee does war driving, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Let's get into the features, though. For real this time. Now, I did also get this super cool sticker with the Banshee, and I would love to put it on the partnership wall, but it's not happening this time because this device was not sent to me. But next time, okay, Wired Hatters, I believe. So, taking a look at the device itself, we have our BLE, Wi-Fi, GPS, infrared, and NFC. Now, I do know they have bad USB on the newest version. I just wanted to come out here and make this device how it comes. I bet they are updating it now, but anyway, I bet it works like any other bad USB. So we have our BLE here at the top, and we can scan for air tags, flipper, aerial detectors, and starting off with this, aerial detectors. So this can be like your drones and stuff, your aerial devices. You could scan for your devices, and then from there, you can list them, track them, and spoof them. I feel like that's so awesome. It gives you just so much more access into the airspace around us without having to get a CC1101 or sub-gigahertz into this device, because it does not have that. In fact, it has Wi-Fi. Let me show you. It has Wi-Fi, Ethernet, GPS, infrared, Ethernet, and an NRF24 board, also on the inside. As you can see, with this Banshee, I have modded the NRF24 to be on the outside, and I love how it looks. Well, this is a friend's. I decided to use the purple one for the video because it is the iconic Wired Hatters. Now, continuing where we were, we have our BLE, and we could spam, raw, skimmer, so you're going to be able to search for card skimmers. There's all this different stuff. But BLE has always been pretty much weak, so I do like that they're adding more features in here that just come with the device. So, more to be said later. With Wi-Fi, though, we have our attacks. We could scan, we can see our environment. We have our network, evil portals, connections, and look at this. Okay, so if we go to, okay, I don't want to dox myself, but if we go to, like, networks or something, it opens up a terminal. I've never seen this on a device, and this is so cool because you don't just hit a button and be off the network, which feels lazy. And obviously, yeah, sure, get your M5 stick and do that for $20. The Banshee is about $300 USD, and with shipping, which was also $50, it's expensive. And you really are feeling that quality in this device. I mean, look at this. It opens up a terminal every time. You could type your commands in. This thing is awesome. Okay, and it does that with everything. So it's going to teach you not only about how to use a device, but then also the software side of cybersecurity. Now, we do also have our GPS. Now, when we start war driving, or BLE war driving, it's going to connect to a satellite. And when I went out war driving with this, it was pretty amazing because it would connect to a satellite, and it would say GPS on, or whatever. And then when it would get a little off, it would say connecting to new satellite, GPS off by however many feet, until it got the exact pinpointed location. And I feel like that's awesome. I've never seen real GPS. I mean, like with the Wi-Fi pineapple pager, it's like a GPS you plug into the side and that's it. If it's connected, it is. If it's not, it's not. This guy gives you a real look into what's happening while you're doing it. Infrared, we have our receivers over here. It looks like 2 receivers, 3 transmitters. So that is going to beat Flipper by 2 transmitters because that only has 1. Not really sure if it's meant to be a flipper killer, though, because it has different features. It has the NRF24, the Ethernet, the C5. Now, we do have our universal remotes. We can learn a remote, and etc. With the NFC, it's pretty cool because it doesn't have NFC built in. Like I said, we could grab that phone right here and put it on the side with the GPIO. But we could also connect to a Chameleon Ultra, for example. So we could scan for a Chameleon Ultra and hit scan, saved, write, and emulate. And that is so cool because it doesn't come with RFID, But instead of saying it doesn't come with it, we're not going to have it, NFC, they made it possible, okay? And in a way where people who have multiple devices, they can communicate with each other. And it just expands the world of cybersecurity into what it should be. With our apps, we have our terminal and our rave. We have our clock, and we have our settings. Now, we could change the UI and other stuff from there. But on this Banshee, for example, because there are many colorways, and like I said, I added this antenna here. It does not come with that. But, for example, we have our Ghost Link. Now, with Ghost Link, we are able to do different types of commands. So if you're like, how do I use the Ethernet? Well, you come down here, you can go to Ethernet, and you can initialize, de-initialize, get info, fingerprint scan, ARP scan, port scan local, port scan all, ping scan, DNS lookup, trace route, HTTP request, NTP time, and network stats. And oh my god, you're getting all this built in on a device with a screen. You're not going to have to root into any device with the laptop. You have this on the go. And until then, I feel like the only other device like this was, I would say, like the Shark Jack. But the Shark Jack is, I know there's a Raspy Jack. I really want to get one of those. But for what it can do and for the price, I feel like the Banshee is a pretty cool item. And if you want to add it to your setup, you can get in the link in the description. And I will say, if anybody was like, Ilya, your setup's different today. Okay, yes, the lab is in construction, and holy moly, if you guys can see this right now. I don't want to show it off yet, and I don't want to show off the areas that aren't ready yet, because I want it to be fully ready for you guys with the video dropping next Monday on the full new setup tour. But that is it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.